Hello Linux fans, Rob here and welcome to Linux Quest. Thanks for watching. So today we have a fun overview of a little known distribution which is a spin-off of OpenSuse 42.1 and it's called Gecko Linux. So I want to have fun with this and I've themed this thing out quite heavily and this won't be the typical review where I go through deeper settings and things like that. I really wanted to make this distribution known and there's many reasons why. Gecko Linux is it's fun to see that this has taken place, and let's just jump into those reasons why. Now, I did a previous video that I will delete out of the channel, and there was issues with the audio, and so I wanted to increase the audio. It was kind of low in the first video, and also I just want to apologize for the screen tearing that you may see from time to time. I've tried various screen recorders. There are some settings I need to do, I'm sure, in the window manager to take care of that, but please excuse the screen tearing. It'll be limited here. Alright, so here's Gecko Linux. If you're interested in checking this out, and I think you will be, go to geckolinux.github.io and you'll come to their main page here. Gecko Linux is not a team. This is one gentleman who decided to put this together, and I'm really glad that he did, because this offers an opportunity to try OpenSuse Linux without downloading a large 4.7 gig ISO. And with OpenSuse Linux, you have to install. There's no live environment. So what is different from, how is Gecko Linux different from OpenSuse? Well, Gecko Linux comes as an installable live DVD or USB ISO image where you can boot into a live environment and check it out and try it out before you decide to install it. So that's awesome. To my knowledge, and I'll have to look back through the archives, but to my knowledge there aren't other spins or spin-offs of OpenSuse Linux that allow you to go into a live environment. Now I'm sure that someone watching this will name 3 or 4, which is great because I'd love to know about them. Other ways that Gecko Linux is different is it offers customized, let's highlight this, customized editions optimized for different desktop environments. And we'll look at that at the bottom. You've got lots of choice when it comes to desktop environment. Also, Gecko Linux offers the software that comes, repos that coincide with that desktop environment, such as Cinnamon and Budgie. Gecko Linux comes pre-installed with common niceties such as proprietary media codecs. So, if you install just standard OpenSuse, you then have to go in and add a repository which allows you to go in and install the proprietary media codecs which you may need. So it's nice to have that there and set up and ready. Gecko Linux prefers packages from the Pacman repo when they are available. And so it goes on to talk about how OpenSuse's default packages do not work with patent-restricted features, even if the features are installed from other sources. So again, could save you some legwork. Gecko Linux comes pre-configured with what many would consider to be good font rendering, and I'll attest to that. These are really nicely tweaked fonts from your default install. Now I am running the XFCE desktop environment here, and it looks great. I didn't have to really do any tweaking. Gecko Linux does not force the installation of additional recommended packages after system installation. And I realize I just skipped one here. I'll go back to it. So when you do an OpenSuse install, you have typically a fairly large update. And what it's saying here is that some of the recommended packages will automatically install package dependencies, thus adding to your already huge 4.7 gig install. All right, let me back up here. Gecko Linux comes pre-configured with what many would consider to be, oh, okay, I did cover that. All right, let's move on. Gecko Linux's desktop programs can be uninstalled with all of their dependencies, where OpenSuse's patterns often cause uninstalled packages to be automatically reinstalled. So you think about that, all right? So in this example, I went in and installed with a one-click install, which we will cover, WPS Office, and then I went in and removed LibreOffice. And so what he's saying here is, with OpenSuse, if you uninstall a particular package or software program, what could happen is that OpenSuse will automatically reinstall some of those dependencies, just adding to bloat and possibly confusion in the OS. for a lack of better words. Confusion in the OS. Gecko Linux features a policy kit configuration that is more relaxed than OpenSUSE's, allowing common actions such as mounting and unmounting of disk, Wi-Fi networks, and rebooting to be performed without entering the root password. Now, while that is a convenience, depending on your scenario and your location and how you're tied into maybe other systems through the network and that kind of thing, this could be a security risk. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But if you're just using this, at home or whatever, that is added convenience. So let's scroll on down here, and again, these desktop environments are all available with Gecko Linux, and they are available in both the OpenSUSE Leap version, which is more of the long-term release version, 42.1, as well as the OpenSUSE Tumbleweed version. So you have Cinnamon, XFCE, which we have installed. Typically the two that you're going to see in OpenSUSE with the standard install, your choices are typically there, GNOME and Plasma. You also have Mate, Budgie, LXQT, and Bare Bones. I'm going to dig into Bare Bones and kind of see what that's about. I'm not sure if that just launches into a non-desktop environment and you build it out from there. I'm guessing that's what that is. But anyway, great choice as far as desktops. And I got to tell you that this running the XFCE desktop environment, it is smoking fast. I mean, I've really been impressed with the speed and just how nicely everything is put together with this particular version of Gecko Linux. Let me go back up to the top here because I want to talk about the issues that I had with Gecko Linux. And for those of you watching, if you've tried Gecko Linux, maybe you've experienced the same thing, and if you have, please share that in the video comments. So I downloaded the ISO, which is about 1.6 gig, booted into a live environment from a USB, no problem, everything was fine there. Did the install looked like it worked just fine. It was only until I went in to reboot first time and ran into an issue where I had this strange looking window with progress marks, and it sat there and finally rebooted and kind of looped into that. So after doing multiple things, trying multiple things, I decided to give a try to reburning the ISO using different software. And so I went to the OpenSUSE website, found their image writer, used it, did the install, and everything's been fine. So it worked out fine. So what I will do is put the notes to the image writer from OpenSUSE's website that I used in the video notes for your convenience if you want to try this. I also want to say that there's not a team here, in case I missed this, there's not a team that developed Gecko Linux. It's one gentleman who sat out on his own. He used SUSE Studios to create Gecko Linux, and I'm thrilled that he did, because I think this gives people who just aren't interested in a 4.7 gig download and install the opportunity to really see what OpenSUSE is about, and and that's a good thing. I'll give a little history to OpenSUSE. It's what I call it was part of the big three back in the 90s. You had Red Hat, you had Mandriva or Mandrake, and you had SUSE Linux. And SUSE Linux is more enterprise based. It's a great distribution if you are concerned with enterprise use or networking and security and all of those things involved in the enterprise world. And a lot of that technology has moved over to OpenSUSE, and it's been around so long, and it's such a long following that it's really, I think, a stable OS for sure. And we'll get into some things too that lend to the fact that it's been around a long time, and it really OpenSUSE or SUSE pioneered a lot of the things that we see today and take for granted in Linux as far as ease of use, and I'll get into that here in just a minute. So theming with XFCE is it's really easy to go in and do some basic themes and set up icon themes and that kind of thing. And I would venture to say that if I hadn't told you that this was Gecko Linux based off of OpenSUSE, you wouldn't know that this is an OpenSUSE OS here in front of you. I've themed it out pretty heavily, and so because this is kind of a fun overview, not detailed review, I'm going to go into some of those settings. So we're going to go to Settings Manager, and this is the XFCE Settings Manager, and they do a nice job with this. We'll maximize that. And so you can go into Appearance, and here you'll see multiple options for the Vivacious theme. Now it comes pre-installed with the Numix theme, which is attractive, but I want to get into the Vivacious theme, and there's one other theme that goes along with that, and the group that developed this. And then this is the Vivacious dark blue icons for those of you who are interested. You can go in here and adjust some font settings, and there's other areas within YAST, which is the big thing that you always hear people talk about with OpenSuse, and rightfully so. And then you can go into settings and change the font. So I just want to bring that up, and then we'll go ahead, and this is where you'll see some screen flicker, and I apologize for that. Let's go to the Rave. Ravefinity is the group that does the Vivacious and Radiance themes and icons. So beautiful set. I have used them on Mate. I've used this with KDE Neon, and it works great with XFCE, so I highly recommend you check this out. And kudos to Ravefinity for your work there. So that's what I've got here set up for the window environment and everything. So if we go in here to folders, we'll go ahead and open this. Oops, I didn't mean to open video. I hope that doesn't hurt anything with the screen recording. But anyway, you'll see all the controls and everything here. So definitely check these out if you're interested in a new theme. It does come pre-installed with Numix, which looks okay, but you know, OpenSuse, which this is based off again, it's not known to be a beautiful operating system. It's kind of bland, kind of static, if you will. So this is kind of the fun aspect of it, is having XFCE on here, being very light and very themable. All right, so let's talk about another big part of OpenSuse, which if you hear people talk about, hey, why do I use OpenSuse? Well, a lot of times it's for the enterprise aspects. It's for the stability aspects, security aspects, that kind of thing. But you'll always hear them talk about YAST. All right, excuse me, losing my voice. Sounded like a 13-year-old there. You'll hear them talk about YAST. All right, let's log in. And YAST was kind of, I want to say, pioneered what we see a lot today in other distros, which is, you know, Control Center or Systems Control, or, you know, there's various names. But OpenSuse, I'm going to credit with kind of putting this all together and making this a tool that you can go into and control, you know, software management, repository management, hardware. You can really get into some deep tweaking, you know, with fonts here and kernel settings. And again, this is not a deep review, so I'm going to kind of just skip over some of this. You can set up your mail server, proxy server, remote administration, security hardening, you know, user group management, so on and so forth. Here's where you'd go in to do online updates, and I will mention, I'll launch into that. And again, most of this stuff isn't, you know, spit and polish. It's more, you know, it's more, I guess you would say, you know, business oriented, business focused, and so they're not as concerned with your, you know, appearance and, you know, lovely bright colors and all of this for appearance sake. But it is a solid set of tools within YAST. So I had done updates, and I will say that there was an update, a rather large update of about 260 different programs to update or packages to update, which took you know, probably 10 minutes to fully install, maybe 10-15 minutes, but did so without any issues whatsoever. Let's look at software management, because if you do try this, that is something you will go into, so I'd like to give you a view of that. And again, the software management here, as far as looks are concerned, are nothing to write home about. However, it is very solid and stable, and you know, and you're able to search quickly and find what you want. You can go in and look at different views here. Let's go over to view. And I would recommend, if you wanted to start and you just wanted to look through, you could go to package groups, where they categorize things. And so then you'd get a long list, and you'd simply check and apply, hit accept in this case. And you'll get information down here describing the application, the package, and what it does. And again, you've got you can go into the XFCE desktop environment and find various additions, branding, and different settings here that you can apply to the XFCE4 environment, plugins, things like that. Then you can also go in and set up new repositories. And again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but I wanted you to see where you go for software. But there's also another area you go to for software. And actually, I'll pop back into the Rayfinity website here. Sorry for the screen flicker. Let's go down. And this is a big part of, for me and for new users, I think this would be a big reason that you will enjoy Gecko Linux / OpenSuse, is because they have a large number of one-click install programs. So here this would open in YAST, which is what we just had open, and it would go through the install process. I'm not going to do that now, but let's go to software.opensuse.org, and here's that large 4.7 gig DVD you would have to download if you weren't trying Gecko Linux. But here you can do a package search, and you can find, I'm going to guess that you will probably find about 80% of the software that you would want to install here by doing a simple package search. And let's do VocoScreen, which I have running and use for screen recording. So we'll do search, and here you see VocoScreen. Now here you're going to have options for Tumbleweed, Leap 42.2, which is the most recent release, or Leap 42.1, which is what we're running. Now here you see Show Unstable Packages, and this is a pretty good example because you won't always see a one button, here it is, this is the package, click it and install it. You may be presented with what they call unstable. However, VocoScreen seems to run fine here. I have had issues with some of the other screen recorders. Simple Screen Recorder works if you're interested there. So then you go in and you want to look at the version number, 2.5.0 for the latest version, and then you could do one-click install. And once you've clicked that, again, it's going to launch into YAST, and you'll proceed through with the prompts and install. So it's very easy. Now let's look at Simple Screen Recorder. I'm going to do Simple Screen, and we'll just see what it finds there. So here you go, Simple Screen Recorder. Now you can tell here that this is going to be a one-click direct install. They've got a long description here talking about the software, what it does, features, that kind of thing, and then bam, one-click install. And so, you know, if you try this out, what I would recommend, just for sake of experimenting with it, is just go on to software.opensource.org and start doing your searches for whatever software that you like to use, and I'm going to say you'll probably find about 80% of what you're looking for right here with one-click install. So it's a great feature. It makes it very easy, and you know, OpenSuse was, I believe, one of the first distributions to start that one-click install, ease of install idea, really. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think OpenSuse kind of pioneered that. So, all right, as far as you know, overall experience here, I haven't been running this long, but so far I've had 0 crashes. We're talking 24 hours here, folks. So, but you know, I really believe that the OpenSuse distribution is really rock solid and stable because you have all of the expertise and enterprise expertise and everything kind of backing this distribution. You've got a large team there. You've got a lot of experienced people who have worked with this, worked with OpenSuse for many, many years, backing it. And so I feel like it's going to be very stable. And so if you appreciate the desktop environment that you have, and it does what it needs to do for you, I think this would be a great distribution to play around with, to give it a try, and who knows, maybe it'll turn into your daily driver. So I would recommend, with a caveat of you may have installation issues, and I have not tried every desktop version of Gecko Linux. I can only speak to the experience with XFCE. But barring the install issues that you may have, I think you should certainly give this a try, especially if you've had interest in OpenSuse and were just put off by the large install and the fact that you have to actually install it on your system, which doesn't always work out the way it should, even if you're going to dual boot or triple boot. Sometimes partitioning doesn't go the way it should, etc., etc. So this would be a great way for you to try it. So I would recommend you check out Gecko Linux. And I hope this has been fun for you. I hope if this was new to you like it was to me, that's always fun. So, all right, thanks for watching, and we will check you later.